So what's been happening with the chilies while I've been away? Well, before I went away, I had a problem with my Carolina Reaper plant where it looked like it had picked up a fungal infection of some kind and the leaves are a bit discoloured. And I'm afraid to say that's still the case. However, it's got lots more flowers on it now, and it didn't have a lot before. They were dropping off. Well, that one just dropped off, but most of them are healthy, so hopefully we'll get more of a crop off of these. There are 2 fruits on them already. They're a little bit discoloured, so I don't know if I'm going to get many Carolina Reapers this year. Over here, similar story with the Maruga scorpion. I think the Superhots don't like it in this greenhouse for some reason. We're getting fruits on it now, but they're very small. There's one at the back. So I think I'm going to need to rethink next year for Superhots. Maybe putting them in a different part of the allotment, getting a greenhouse specifically for them, keeping it a bit more humid, whatever it is that I've been going wrong. The Dorset Naga here, on the other hand, has had a lot of fruit on it since the beginning, and it's done not badly, but I didn't know that the Nagas were going to be so small, the fruits. As you can see, they're quite small. I'll get my finger in there, just for a little bit of perspective. They're about the size of a peanut, or maybe a hazelnut. But I'm told that they are Superhots, so I don't know. I probably won't be doing a taste test on those ones fairly soon. Back to the Caligaritzas, these are going great guns. They're still prolific with fruit. It's all ripening now. Now my own problem is finding a use for it all. And I'm thinking about pickling it the same way I would with jalapenos. We'll see how that goes. I don't know. Coffee bean. I had some ripe coffee beans yesterday, and I'm going to be doing a taste test video later. I don't see any others, but there's a few. They're smaller again than the Nagas that I just showed you. They're about probably raisin sized. Similar story here with this is the white habanero. And you can see they're also quite small. I don't know if this is just my plants or if that's the way they're supposed to be, but most of the other ones in here seem to be a reasonable size. My sugarless peach plant is producing a lot of fruit. There's quite a lot in the background that are a lot bigger. One's down the bottom of the plant that have been there for a while. So they're ripening up. I think I can see some of them starting to ripen now. At the back here we have my Thai hot, and all of the fruits on that are mega tiny. It's a very bushy plant and it's got a lot of fruit on it now. It didn't look like it had a lot to begin with, but it does have a lot now. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see that a little bit better. There you go. This is my Kashmiri Mirch. I did another video with a tour of the allotment where I showed you the polytunnel, and in the polytunnel I have one of those. And here are the Kashmiri Mirch starting to ripen, which is fantastic. That's really nice. I've been looking forward to them ripening and getting a taste testing, so that's imminent. That'll be in the next few days. This is a Killian. I think a Killian. I have already harvested some and tasted some, but I didn't do it on video, so I'll probably do that shortly as well. Beautiful orange fruits. The Havana Gold next step is also starting to ripen now, and they're ripening to this beautiful gold, orangey gold colour. And I harvested a couple of them yesterday, and they will be the subject of a taste test later on tonight as well. So there'll be 2 taste test videos coming up, the coffee bean and that, and then the third one being the Kashmiri Mirch probably later on in the week. This is my Brazilian starfish, which isn't growing as much as I thought it was going to grow, but it's still pushing out. It's still got flowers on it. It's still very healthy. And we have an example of a fruit to show you here. Look at that. They're amazing. And when they turn red, they're just glorious to behold in the plant. They're really beautiful. You can see where they get the name, the starfish, from. Next, that is a Butcholokia. Now, But Jolokia, I noticed the other day, does have some fruits on it, which is good. So they're just starting to come on it now, which is what I kind of expected. It's another Superhot. It's actually doing well back here. I don't know if it's more humid at the back of the greenhouse than it is for the ones over there. But yeah, so we're looking forward to that. The mystery of this plant over here, why I have one plant, I actually cut it back, and idiot me realised that there's two plants in here. So there is a Tatil sus plant, which is producing these fruits, and there is a padron plant, which is producing padrons. So I have another padron plant. That's good. At least I hope they're padrons. I don't want to just like take that and go and taste it and find out that it's some kind of mad Superhot that I've never heard of. So down here we have our Malawi birdseye, I believe. Yep, and the Malawi birdseye is producing all these little fruits that look fantastic. As you can see, you get the Havana Golds actually growing right through it. And I spotted a ripe Malawi birdseye. Look at that. We have a ripe one. Let me see if I can get the camera on that. There we are. We have a ripe Malawi birdseye. That's good. So another taste test video on the way. That's 4. Next to that, we have our Puma, and these are fabulous looking little fruits even before they're ripe. You know, they're half sort of green, half purple, and when they ripen, they kind of turn a golden brown two-tone sort of colour that I'm looking forward to seeing. There's none of them so far ripening. The fruits are actually a bit smaller than they were last year, and that one, I don't know why that has happened. This is our Kashmiri Murch, not a Kashmiri Murch, I apologise. This is our Takanatsume. This is the Japanese chili plant, and we have had ripening ones here as well. As you'll remember, this is the plant where I had crossed one of the flowers with the Chinese dragon tongue, and that one is now, the seeds are now dried out and in an envelope for planting, and I'm going to be doing that very soon because I want to try and see how many generations I can do in a year. So that'll probably be going into a grow tent under lights. This one is another one of the Killians, and it's got a lot more ripe fruits on it, but no, all the smaller ones seem to be ripening, and it's the longer ones I want, really. When I do a taste test of these, I want it to be kind of one of the bigger fruits to make it more sort of a true test. More leaf drop off on a Superhot. This one is, remind myself what this one is. This is my Trinidad Scorpion. So it's got a bit of leaf drop and a little bit of flower drop as well, which is a shame. Although a lot of the flowers on it are healthy, and it was just fed yesterday. I don't think it was fed while I was away, so that should be, it might actually be okay, and I might just be worrying about nothing. This one is very small, and this is a Bengal Naga. I've got a bigger Bengal Naga in my other greenhouse, but this one again, the flower drop off. It's just a lot, the dry weather we've been having lately I think is contributing to that. Although we do have a little fruit now, Bengal Naga fruit, so that's good. Just to head up to the back again here, we have our, in the corner, as I said, this is our Tatil sus, and this is our Padron in the same thing. I need to compare the leaves actually, because I've got Padrons in the small greenhouse, so we will compare them. As you can see, well, yeah, that's a Padron. These are getting terribly brutalised by pests over here in the corners, and we do have a gap along the back of this greenhouse that the pests tend to come in, so I really need to get that fixed for next year if I'm going to be growing these in here again. This is another Takanatsume. As you can see, they're quite the prolific little plant, very sort of bird's eye like, which might bode well for sauces and things. We will see. Sneaked in down underneath here, Let's see if we can remind ourselves what this one is. I think this is a hot chocolate, yeah. The hot chocolate, which does indeed have quite a lot of fruit developing on it, so that's good. They're quite large as well, the fruits. That's bigger than last year's crop, so from a smaller plant as well. I might rescue this plant from in here and drag it out into the light a little bit and see if it does a little bit better. This one here is a Fatale, and it's not doing well at all either. There's no sign of fruit on it just yet, although, is that fruit? Yeah, okay, we've got a little one there. Little one there. And some flowers, but it's another one of these that's got this sort of fading leaf. So I may treat that with some Epsom salts possibly and water to see if that brings out the greenery again. Here we have a 7-pot yellow, and I couldn't be happier with this one. Look at that. That's probably the only Superhot I've ever grown in this greenhouse that's given me a return like that. That is amazing. I'm really looking forward to those coming to something. So I'll definitely be growing these again next year if they're going to produce like that. Next to that, we have our Chinese dragon tongue, which is also showing signs of a deficiency of something, even though it's getting fed the same as everything else. One sort of quirk I've noticed with these, I'll just harvest one quickly to see if it's still the case, is that they're growing these fruits, but they're not producing any seed. So some of the ones that I've actually brought up the road already to do a taste test, I'll do a taste test on this one. I don't think I've recorded a taste test for this, but I have tasted them. I'll take this one up the road, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if there's no seeds in it, because none of the other ones that I've taken up the road so far have had any in it, even though they've been ripe. So that's a little bit of an anomaly. Next to that one is our Zimbabwe Black, and it is now, I think it's got fruit that is starting to ripen. Let's pull that back, these flowers back, and get the camera in there. As you can see, that fruit there, green with sort of reddish tinge to it. That's it, starting to ripen, so it won't be long we'll have some of them as well. These are going to have to be my substitutes, the Malawi Bird's Eye over there, and my Zimbabwe Black, and possibly the Takanatsumis, depending on how they turn out. My replacement for Peri Peri this year, because my Peri Peris obviously have turned out to be something else, which I'll show you in just a second as well. This is my red habanero, and it's doing very well. Although I was expecting fruits to be a little bit bigger, but some of them are ripening, and they're quite small still, as you can see, about the size of my thumbnail. But it's got lots of them on it, so that's good news. I definitely do want habaneros this year, because I was looking forward to making sauces with those. So if the red one and the orange one over there doesn't look like it's doing too great, but I do have another orange one that's a bit healthier. So that should be okay. I'm just checking out these the discoloration on these leaves as well. Just wondering if that's maybe this same fungal infection that's going around the place. Over here we've got another Tatil Sus. This is a smaller one. It's not doing as well as the other plant is, even though the other plant is sharing a pot with another one. Maybe chilies like beetroot and onion like to have companion plants and like to grow together. Worth experimenting with. Might try that again next year. So that's the big greenhouse. Little greenhouse. Let's pop this over here just now. This is one of my bunchies producing some fantastic fruit, and I have lost the label for that one, and that one there is a Dorset Zinger. So this one here is a Bengal Naga, and it has twice as many fruits 3 times as many fruits, now that I notice, as my other bingo Naga, which only has 1 so far. And it's a bunchy. It's basically grown in a pot the size of a saucer. Come on. This one here also has a little fruit growing somewhere. I'll find it in a minute. Yep, there we are down the bottom. You can see that. That's a little Dorset Zinger. So we'll find out how big the Dorset Zinger fruits get on this one, seeing as they're quite small over there. Now, at the back, the cayennes, I've pointed this out before. This time last year, I already had bucket loads of ripe cayennes, and basically that's what I've got this year so far. I don't know if you can make them out, just there in the middle of the picture. Lots of little sort of green fruits on those 4 plants, which is not a great return, to be honest. I was looking forward to a lot more than that. This is the ahi red that had problems that I moved in here. I trimmed this one right back, basically right back to the bare stem, and it's all grown back again, and it seems to be a little bit healthier. The fruit that's on it seems to be wanting to ripen now as well, and it's also producing more flowers, so it may still produce more fruit by the end of the year. I've got a tiny little Havana Gold there at the back, and a tiny little pot that just didn't want to grow, that one, for some reason. I don't know why, what was wrong with it. But here we have our Fuegos, and I couldn't be happier with them this year. Nice little crop of those. Another plant at the back there. Another Fuego plant that's got a few fruits on it. Here we have our Ring of Fire. Again, the Ring of Fires are very prolific. They just spit out fruit by the bucket load, and in fact one of them, this one over here, has got a ripening one on it. So it won't be long. I don't need to do a taste test of these because I know what they taste like. They're not new. They taste like very, very hot things. like a cayenne, but hotter. And just a teensy bit bitter, more bitter, should I say. Here we have our not peri-peris. So the way things are looking, these are looking like African bird's eye, or just bird's eye, whatever you want to call them. So it's crossed with that. That's definitely what it's crossed with. So this one's the same. As you can see, they've got new like sort of growth spurts happening. So now that they're laden with the fruit down there and that's starting to ripen, the fruit's boosting up a few more leaves to create a new crop to follow that one. These are the padrons. As you can see, yeah, very similar to the plant through by. Although the feel of them's a little bit different. Maybe rethink my assessment of the one through next to the tattles, us being a padron. It's maybe something different, but the seeds definitely came out the same seed packet because they were sown on different days, different dates, 3 weeks apart. So over here we have our Jaloros. These are jalapenos, and they are starting to really come good now. Lots of fruits appearing. It was a bit slow to get started, this plant, and I don't think it was getting enough moisture. It was getting a bit dried out by all the plants sort of round about it. But I've started watering them less intermittently, more frequently, and that one the fruit seems to be filling out on it now. At the back of it, we have our ahi chombo, which now has little fruits. These are very similar to habaneros. They make a fantastic sauce though. Look up I've mentioned it before, but look up ahi chombo sauce. It's a Panamanian thing that is very popular in Central America. This is my farmer's market potato. It has tons of fruit. I'll try and get the camera on them. Lift that up. Tons of fruit, and we are seeing a little bit of the marbling coming in. This doesn't see enough sun in this position for the marbling to happen. I think the marbling happens when there's more sun hitting the fruits, hitting the plant. Let's get the camera on those. So this is very heavy with them now. This plant is starting to lean over. I don't know if you can see that. It's starting to lean over a little bit. Yeah. So I'll probably harvest some of them and use them just to take the weight off the plant a little bit. But wow, what a return! I'm happy. I'm more than happy with that. That's great. It's doing a little better than the plant was last year. Here, turn the camera the right way up, maybe I'll get along better. Here we have our wild lombok, and I am seeing fruits on that now, which I wasn't seeing before, so that's a good thing. Although this one still is doing the sort of discoloration thing. Maybe something about this end of the greenhouse. Maybe not enough nutrients getting to it, whereas it sort of along the middle here, it's a little bit more healthy. One reason over here could be the ants. We do have a little sort of ants nest here. You can see the mess that they've made there. If I lifted that up, you would be able to get the queens in there with all our little eggs for the ants. And one interesting aspect about the ants being in here is I have a little volunteer chili here from last year. I don't know what it is, although it looks like starting to look like a ring of fire. It's got some fruit on it down there. I don't know if you can make that out. But it also has a little bit of a aphid infestation. And I don't know if that's courtesy of the ants or if the ants are here because of the aphids. So either way, it's not spread to any of the other plants yet. They haven't spread to any of the other plants, they're just located on this one. So I'm just doing the squash thing and the wiping them off the leaves and stuff for the moment. I'm not going to use any chemicals or anything in here. I have an aversion to using chemicals anywhere in my allotment, but there we are. So that's been the chili tour. The only one we haven't looked at is the bigger sort of bunchy. This is the Bengal Naga as well, and it is doing well in here. There's its little fruits appearing on it now, but it's enjoying life in this little tray. It's been in here a lot longer than the other ones have. This one's been in here since probably around March time, and it was only moved down here. It was in the house under lights, and it was only moved down here quite recently. And it did go through an episode where the leaves were kind of yellowing a little bit, but regular feeding has fixed it, and it's now growing in an acceptable fashion and producing fruit, which is ideal. That's going to be a fantastic little plant to have in the house on a shelf under lights later on in the year. So that's the chili tour. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you like it, what you see, and you'd like to keep up to date on progress here, please consider subscribing. It would be great to have more numbers on the channel. I see it rising. Since I did a last video, I think I've gained about 15 subscribers, which is fantastic. Thank you everyone for doing that. But I'd like to get up to at least 100 before the end of the summer. And if we get further than that, fair enough. So please please share to anyone you think would be interested. And it's just very soon now, it won't be long, and we'll be making sauces, etc. and doing things with all of the chili that we're producing in here. And that's going to be as interesting as I can make it. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.